Dominik Tarczyński. Let me start by saying a few things about him. He is right now a politician, MP in the European Parliament. He is a lawyer with a PhD in international law and a PhD on the Holocaust. I will start with the hot thing of the last 5 years. The immigration.
Poseł Tarczyński, który kilka godzin temu przyleciał do Polski, był pan przez kilka dni na tej włoskiej wyspie Lampedusa.
Sytuacja jest katastrofalna.
Chciałem zobaczyć, jak to wygląda i co grozi Polsce.
Są łodzie, którymi przypłynęli nielegalni migranci. Zobaczcie, jak wygląda jedno z miejsc w porcie po ich przypłynięciu.
The immigration is something that is happening all around the world, but I will stand by Europe. The major entries for the immigrants are Poland, Spain, Italy, Greece. From the Aegean, we opened the doors for the immigration because Germany wanted to help the people over there, but in what cost? We see that some countries use the immigrants for their own agenda, just like Turkey and Belarus. But the fact is, if you need to stop the immigration, you need to stop it at the source. The source are in Turkey. That's why European Parliament gives away billions of euros to Turkey so they can stop them from talking too much. And what the Turkish really want is the visa for Europe. Something that I believe that will never happen because, let's be honest, Germany runs the show in Europe and Germany doesn't want Turkish. They don't want them in their country, and the fact is that the Turkish that they exist in Germany, they are people that they are not become one with the existent population of Germany. The immigrants come in Europe are very young, 18 to 20 years old, and in their countries they live below the poverty average. And let me show you why. In Africa, the average age is around 20 to 18 years old, and the highest is around 60 years old. Something that was 5 years ago was 50 years old. And they live some areas with $60 per month. In some cases, $800 and some others around $1,000 and $2,000. But these areas usually have a high tourist areas. And the young people in very low income in Africa, what they can do to survive. There are very few options. The one option is to come to Europe, or the other option is to join a military freedom, and from that they basically steal from their neighbor so they can eat. And why you can't stop immigration? At this point, it's very difficult to stop immigration because there is one thing and one thing only: the internet. They can see how the people over here live. There are over 5 billion users of the internet every single day. They see how we live and they want that. They want to be healthy, they want to have food on their plates. And they don't have anything to lose. Areas from the south, Greece, Spain, Portugal, and Italy are a passage to the north. And that's how the last few years, many countries, just like Sweden, Germany, Holland, they close their borders because they can't control the people coming. There are more from what they can hold. So now I will talk about the abortion situation in
Agree as a Catholic, as a Christian, with abortion, promotion of abortion. I do not agree with transgender ideology, which is present everywhere as a part of LGBT.
In Poland, I have some questions. If you live in Poland, you're a Polish, and you want to do an abortion, what can you do? Can you go to the public hospital? No, you can't. And this is problematic for some reasons. And the other option is to take the pill. But in Poland, they don't sell the pill anywhere. A few years ago, a Polish activist was arrested because she was selling these pills to the public. The other option is to pass the borders and go to another country to use their facilities for an abortion. And in the situations that you can't do that, what can you do? And the last option is give birth to the baby and then give it for adoption, which is something very hard. But I found that there is only one option if you want to do an abortion, if there was a criminal act on it. And what does this mean? You understand what it means. I don't want to say it. But there are other issues, just like what if the baby is not healthy? What if the mother is not healthy? What's happening then? If there are someone out there that knows the answer, write it down below. Communism and Poland.
Fathers and grandfathers. In many cases, I can give you names. So when you see a beautiful lady, a socialist like Eva Kaili, who was caught with the bribes, with the cash, with the money flowing from Qatar, that's one of the examples from socialists, how they run this business in here. I'm not stupid. I'm a lawyer.
So
I'm doing my PhD on international law, and I know how things should work.
You think there is a lot of corruption? People getting...
They are corrupted, big time. Not only Eva Kaili, there was much...
So you think this is happening with a lot of MPs?
Oh yeah, many of them were arrested, like Tarabella, Cozzolino. They are all communists, like Cozzolino from Italy. He used to be a member of Italian Communist Party. Communist Party, that's the actual name of the party. So we are fighting with the communism in a new modern form, but it's still communism. It's a Marxism.
Dominik hates communism more than anything else. Poland was for many years under the Communist Party. And I will give you an example of how much hate there is in Poland for the communists. In Warsaw, there is a building that was a gift from the communists in Russia to the Polish people. Polish can't decide what to do with this building nowadays. Half of the Polish wants to destroy it and others wants to keep it. I'm not Polish, but in my opinion, I will keep it just to remind me what happened in my country in the past, even if this building brings bad memories and reminds the people of the oppression they received from communism. So Mr. Tarczyński went to the USA to support Donald Trump.
Okay, thank you very much. I do not have a question. I would rather have a comment as a member of the Parliament, European Parliament, who was called a fascist, Islamophobe. I was called all these names. And I'm happy that we have this moment of silence now, because I would like to remind you, these people are lecturing us about unity. So I would like to remind you again, they are talking and lecturing us about unity. So now you have a chance to practice what you preach and show the whole nation what the unity and democracy means. you have to have a class to lose. Because if you don't have a class when you're losing, you have no right to win.
Cenk, go for it. Go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, this brother isn't even American. So I don't know what the hell he's chanting USA for. I'll chant USA, not you, okay? And so, second of all, you're talking about losing with class when that bitch Donald Trump tried to steal an election, set to terminate the Constitution, or set off a riot, that he didn't mind if his vice president was murdered, bum rushed the Capitol, tried to destroy our democracy. He's the very worst in losing with no class at all. Here I am telling you that I think the Democratic Party did it wrong. I think they ran a wrong campaign. They're relying on the donors. They've got the wrong strategy. So we are honest about what goes wrong in the Democratic Party and what goes in the Republican Party. Are you guys honest about the fact that Donald Trump tried to steal an election? He's got no class at all.
Patrick, if I may, just one
loser.
sentence.
Cenk, go for it.
Okay,
Dominik.
guys, if I can ask you for another moment of silence.
Who the hell is this guy? Are you Viktor Orban's cousin?
Yes, I'd like to have a conversation. I would like to answer. You asked me why I am in US now. Because I was invited and I came here with my passport. So I was invited, Patrick invited me as a politician to come to US because as a European, as a Polish, I do recognize US as a leader of the free world and I pay my respect to this country.
Good.
And I came here, my friend, and I came here because I used to live under communism. My country was under communism. And Reagan, with John Paul II, freed our country. And I will be always grateful to the Republicans of the United States for the freedom of Poland and Europe. And my presence here in America is my way to pay respect to those who freed the world from the communism. And that was America and John Paul II. And I do not want communism back. And Kamala is a communist.
Why? Because Poland wants to support the right wing of USA. And why is that? Because USA can change the world just from one election. And the other option for Poland is to support Europe and Russia. Russia, I explained it earlier, that this will never ever happen. There is the option of China, something that Chinese know better than me, is that they have communism. So, Polish and the party of Mr. Tarczyński, they support Donald Trump and the Republicans because their own ideology is very similar to it. One of the main issues with Mr. Tarczyński is the Green Deal. I will show you an example that Europe imports many things from China. And that shows the minimized pollution in Europe. But this thing is not minimizing the problem. The problem does exist and we just move it to another continent. The pollution stays all around the globe, you like it or not. We can't just take the problem from one area and move it to another, especially if we don't know how the process is happening to China. And I don't say that we need to stop taking imports from China because we are living in a society with open borders and we can send things all over the globe, but we need to address, to be realistic of what is happening. Now, it's very difficult from the perspective of what you need to have in Europe just to open one shop. The paperwork in almost every country in Europe is longer than it needs to be. So I will say some examples of what papers do you need in some countries in Europe to start a business. Certificate of incorporation, bank reference letters, resume photos, business license, lease, and contracts for the building you own. Environmental inspect, mechanic safety production, and how to dispose the trash. So this is way too much. I'm not saying that everything is useless, but if you want to open a coffee shop, for example, you don't need an environmental study. And the list from that is going on and going on and going on. And in every country is something totally different. If you want to open a shop in Poland, it's the exact opposite of if you want to open a coffee shop in Berlin, for example. And the big thing we have in Europe. Germany said in the past that we need to stick together. And yes, of course, it's the absolute truth for the whole Europe to stick together. But this is not happening right now. The European Parliament is basically a joke. It's a joke. Every decision that is being taken is not from the whole Parliament, but for the Germans. They do whatever they want. We are united. We are united. That means that every country in Europe, the 27 countries, are individuals. You can't say things that is totally opposed to the things that is happening in Spain, for example. And in Spain they don't want it because their belief is totally different from the Germans. We need to respect the individuality of every country. We are not USA. We are not Americans. We are Europeans. That's the big difference. They sell the fact that we need to be Germans. No, we don't want to be Germans. I don't want to be German. I don't want to be French. I want to be what I have been born to be. Some characteristics of other countries is good to be adapted to the other ones. That's a fact. But other things needs to be a no case scenario. But EU watches the tree without watching the forest. And I want to say that Europe is problematic, but I totally agree with Dominik that Europe is also our family, and we must stick together. It doesn't matter how much and how long it will take to fix it, but we need to fix it. Not for us, but for the future.
Be better.